Bring in Melissa Bell. So, Melissa, a lot of people are speculating what Putin's next move could be, but it looks as though Russia's, or Ukraine rather's, climate, its weather forecast could indeed be a good place to start.
It's remarkable to think that something as simple as that could have an impact. But of course, in this part of the world, it is extremely important. And just picking up from what Nick was just saying, Zain, there is all of this talk about the Minsk agreement, whether a solution can be found within Ukraine. But then there's everything that's going on the outside. As you said, more than 2,000 troops, according to American intelligence, sent within the 24 hours. Those 6 ships sent to the Black Sea yesterday. That military buildup that, far from ending, continues to escalate. And that, of course, continues to raise the tension inside the country, even though we've been hearing from the country's foreign minister saying, look, we were promised a war in December, we were promised a war in mid-January, then the end of January. We are still talking. Diplomacy is working. Really, Ukrainians are paid to explain that for the time being, those diplomatic channels need to be kept open because they are functioning and keeping the troops on the right side of the border. But clearly a lot of concern, a lot of questions about what Vladimir Putin intends to do next, and that question of what impact the conditions on the ground, the climatic conditions, could have. Across much of Ukraine, it's been a mild winter. Still plenty of snow, but much of it turning to slush. The Sea of Azov, less icy than normal for the beginning of February. According to the latest data, temperatures are running between 1 and 3 degrees Celsius higher than the 30-year average. And that just might make a difference to any Russian military offensive.
For him to move in and occupy the whole country, particularly from the north, from Belarus, he's going to have to wait a little bit till the ground's frozen.
The view in Washington is that a Russian offensive needs frozen ground, given Ukraine's landscape.
Prominent terrain includes flat, open plains, and there are abundance of rivers and lakes, and there's a high water table. And when that high water table freezes, it makes it for optimal conditions for cross-country tracked and wheeled vehicle maneuver.
It's not so much that modern tanks get bogged down in wet conditions, but the support they need can do.
More importantly than the tracked vehicles themselves is what they need to sustain themselves, which is fuel and ammunition, which are very heavy and are generally carried by wheeled vehicles that need good roads.
Even the Russians admit that in some areas, wet conditions can be a factor.
If you studied geography of the area, actually the southern part of Belarus, close to the Ukrainian border, is a very swampy area which is hardly fitting for certain active engagement of tanks and other heavy weaponry.
It's not just the conditions on the ground, it's the skies as well. Clear skies are important for reconnaissance and intelligence gathering and for landing assault troops.
Cloudy weather, rain, snow, all of that would inhibit the reconnaissance measures that you would use to find the targets. And if you can't find the targets precisely, then the effect that your fires are going to have are going to be diminished.
But in the initial phase of any conflict, some experts say that Russia would likely opt for weapons that can operate in any weather, long-range artillery, ballistic missiles. They would seek to take out Ukrainian command and control, not frontline forces. Satellite imagery indicates that such weapons have been brought forward to positions near the Ukrainian border. So then, even as the world continues to look at that military buildup, continues to look at the weather and the conditions here on the ground in Ukraine and to try and figure out what's on Vladimir Putin's mind, also those pronouncements we heard from the Russian Foreign Ministry today in the shape of their spokeswoman saying that the onus was now on Ukraine to send back the weaponry it had been sent by its allies over the course of the last few weeks, if it wants to see any de-escalation. All of that really tells us that we wait to see what Putin wants, but what is certain is that for the time being, the pressure is being kept not only on Ukraine, but through Ukraine, on NATO, the United States and Europe. Zain.
Melissa Bell, live for us there. Thank you so much.